Everybody, it's Zach with Bluegrass Rentals of EKY. You're with me in the office again this afternoon. Thank you guys for being here, especially those return subscribers. You guys are really helping me to grow this channel, and I really appreciate it. So by the thumbnail, you could tell today we were talking about 10 of the biggest mistakes that new real estate investors have made, including me. I have not invested perfectly in real estate. I regret quite a few of my early decisions that I made, and I want to go through 10 tips, as you can see with this article I've got pulled up above on your screen, as well as with the thumbnail, 10 big mistakes, and I will tell you why you should avoid them and give you some tips and tricks along those lines. So number one mistake that new real estate investors tend to make is something I would call starry eye syndrome. That is on your screen there, the point number one, looking at how beautiful or fun a new investment will be and not thinking about how you're going about it. So you save up this amount of money, whether it's a $20,000 down payment, a $40,000 down payment, you come into some money, you take out a HELOC, you do something to get a bulk of cash together, and now you're looking for your first real estate investment. And bam, you go onto YouTube because you want to learn how to invest in real estate. And instead of learning exactly how, which almost nobody can for sure tell you, you're going to hear opinions on methods, short-term rentals, medium-term rentals, long-term rentals, and certain aspects of either of those strategies, or maybe none of those three strategies, may look good for you. Wholesaling, wholetailing, becoming a realtor. Shoot, you could do almost anything involved in real estate and enjoy that. And so, but you start looking at things and you start getting ideas, and you start getting starry-eyed, just, oh, this house and this strategy, oh, this house and that strategy. And you become so starry-eyed that you're not really thinking about what you're doing and how you're going about it. So you just know you've got this money and you're ready to invest it. And that can set you up for big mistakes. So a counter to having starry-eye syndrome, I would say, is sitting down with maybe other seasoned investors. I would even recommend you going to something like biggerpockets.com, getting into the forums, and start asking questions about a certain method you might be interested in, whether that's long-term rentals, short-term rentals, medium-term rentals, some other type of strategy, wholesaling if it's legal in the area you live in. And you start asking them questions. You just start getting involved in the conversations with those that have done it or are doing it. And that will help to slow you down. I don't want to damper your excitement here. I don't want to take away your drive and your willingness to make a move, because on the flip side of starry-eyed syndrome is getting sort of stuck in analysis paralysis, as you've probably heard it said before. This idea of looking at deals, looking at opportunities, and you get so paralyzed by everything in front of you that you end up doing nothing in real estate. And so that is not what we want to do. I don't want to take you from starry-eye syndrome to the flip side of analysis paralysis, but I do want to get you into a place of realism. I want to get you into a place of thinking through your decisions. I don't want you to look at a house and just think how beautiful it is, how great that secondary home would be on Airbnb, how you and your family could enjoy it for years to come, but you're not thinking about the strategy you're doing, like short-term rentals that I do, and you end up falling in and making some errors. So number one, mistake, starry-eye syndrome. Number two, rushing into an investment, allowing yourself to be pushed by others into making decisions. Don't be naive. So whenever you come into the game of becoming a new real estate investor, like I did 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, you have this bulk of money saved. The blood is in the water. People are going to be coming at you. They want you to invest with them. They want you to trust in them. They want you to believe in their strategy, buy their educational program, do this, do that, do this, do that. Everybody's throwing at you these big promises that they're going to bring you the best XYZ. And many of them are probably accurate in telling you that. And many of them would probably take very good care of you and your money to invest. But whenever you go into this, rushing into things, you are bound to always make errors. The Bible warns in the book of Proverbs about being not hasty to gain riches, that those who are hasty to gain riches, they end up coming up to want. They end up lacking. They end up needing. They end up losing. So we don't want to be hasty in point number one, just being starry-eyed, And number two, we don't want to be naive and rushing into things that we're not ready for. And you're never really ready. Part of real estate investing and learning as you go, that's what I've done. I kind of dove in with some naivety, I'll be quite honest. And that's also why I lost money, to be quite honest. But coming at this with naivety that is completely exposed without any basis in reality is quite dangerous for you and your money. So don't rush into anything. I will give you an example. When I went to buy land, and this is going to go on into a story later, was pressured by someone selling a plot of land that this is the best plot of land I could possibly find for this deal. And if I don't buy it now, they're going to sell it any time. Well, I would venture to say that land had probably been for sale for months. They were not able to sell it due to the poor road conditions. But I bought that land sight unseen in a hot short-term rental market thinking I had gotten a fantastic deal. Well, it turns out that land had poor roads. I didn't know that because I bought it sight unseen. It was in an HOA, so I thought, well, the road's got to be decent. It's inside of an HOA. Wrong. Number one, this HOA is poorly maintained. The roads are poorly maintained, and it led to my land having issues, whether that's building on it or even selling it in the future. It's not attractive because the road to get to it is just so poorly maintained. So I rushed into an investment feeling pressure and like I had to get it right now or I'm going to miss out on a deal. And that actually ended up costing me money. So mistake number two, rushing into an investment. Do not do that. One of the best things you can do if you're quick to make decisions, which is what I do when I want to do something new, is to pump your brakes and think about what you're doing. Point number three, mistake number three, is scaling too quickly. So when I jumped into real estate investing, I got a one rental arbitrage. Then I scaled into two rental arbitrage. Then I scaled into three rental arbitrage deals, 2 apartments and 1 house, all within the span of about 4 to 6 months. That's pretty fast scaling. Now, I intended to do those 2 apartments and launch them both at the same time as short-term rentals in my hometown. And then the house was kind of a byproduct of that, as the deal was sort of brought to me, and we had some money left over that we hadn't invested in the first 2 properties to buy furniture for the house. So that ended up working out, but it ended up being scaled way too fast. Then the guy came to me I just told you about, was selling the land. I decided to get a construction loan and start building on an A-frame, which is still under construction. And whenever we started the construction on this A-frame, the original contractors I had stole a large portion of the phase 1 payment that they were paid, and they are now being prosecuted by the federal government of the state of Kentucky for fraud, insurance fraud, and theft of millions of dollars from other people who had paid them to build cabins that they never built for them. I'm one of those people. But because the money was stolen, I'd taken on this construction loan, I'd bought this land, and taken on 3 rental arbitrages all in less than 1 year. When dry season came, the slow season of January and February, the year after all those investments had been made, I was so stretched thin with bills, with this A-frame, with this construction loan, with this land payment, with all these rental arbitrage, now that it's breaking even or even underwater during the slow season, these arbitrages, which is normal in some markets, but not maintainable. I started having to work overtime as a registered nurse to pay for expenses on these rental arbitrages, and that was not something I had planned for. And I ended up having to fold all 3 rental arbitrages because of that reason. I scaled so quickly that whenever bad things happened that I was not planning for or thinking about, I was not able to maintain all that I had put money into, which is very tragic and very sad because they were bringing in to me each approximately $1,000 a month each, but I was using the cash flow from those arbitrages to pay for my construction loan payments. So whenever dry season came and no money was coming in, I didn't have reserves to pay for the construction loan, and it just all fell to crap. And that is my fault. I scaled too quickly. So I recommend that you go through at least 1 slow season before you scale into your second investment. So if you buy an Airbnb in March and your slow season is January and February, hold off on getting a second rental arbitrage or another Airbnb property until after your January and February slow season. So wait till the following spring so that you're able to learn how to go through a slow season without another investment property on your books, causing you even more difficulty. So I recommend going through at least 1 slow season before you scale into your second investment. If doing long-term rentals, I would nearly suggest give it 6 months to a year before you buy your second long-term rental. Give it time for something to go wrong and learn from that situation before complicating it all through obtaining more rentals. Take your time. You're seeing a measure here of take your time. When I came to real estate investing, I wanted out of my 9 to 5 job as quickly as possible. And so I was in a rush. And because I was in a rush, it cost me to be overexposed and I lost money. So don't scale too quickly and end up losing it all in the end. I was hasty to gain riches and I lost many things because of that. So I would recommend you to scale slowly through my recommendations of waiting through the slow season if you're a short-term rental investor, and waiting 6 to 12 months if you're a long-term rental investor and you're a new investor. If you're a seasoned investor, maybe these time frames are not even necessary for you because you've had some knocks. But if you're a new investor, I would highly suggest that you give it some time and move a bit slower than you're probably planning for. Mistake number 4 is not having reserves, as I've already touched on. You need, I would say, 3 to 6 months of expenses setting liquid in the bank. Have at least 1 to 2 months ready when you start, and ideally save from the cash flow of your investment to build that up to 3 to 6 months saved before you start investing and using cash flow for personal use. So I would start out your investment when you've made no money yet at 1 to 2 months of expenses saved. Then from the cash flow, once you've got your investment going, I would save till you have 3 to 6 months saved back. Then I would think that you're a bit safer to start using cash flow for personal expenses or for personal use. So that's my token to having, my mistake was not having enough reserves. So when the money was stolen, my A-frame payment was on me, the land payment was on me, and all 3 arbitrage bills were on me, I had no reserves to fall back on, or very little reserves that quickly dried up. So that was a big mistake. You need to have reserves 1 to 2 months when you're starting out with that one investment, and 3 to 6 months saved back before you start using any cash flow for personal use. Mistake number 5, not seeking legal advice. I recommend that you seek legal counsel, especially when signing contracts. No, a signed contract does not automatically protect you from being taken advantage of. Sadly, there are people out there who will take advantage of you if you give them the chance. There are people who make their money, their joy, their living, get their kicks off taking advantage of people that are not knowing what they are doing. And when you step into real estate investing, to be quite frank with you, friend, me and you did not know what we were doing. We had never done it before. So there's an element to this of being exposed. And the way you mitigate your exposure is by building a team around you. And one of those important team members would be a real estate knowledgeable attorney who could go over contracts with you and answer whether or not your interests you want this contract to protect are in the contract and are there to protect you. I signed a contract with my original builders who ended up stealing the money. And I thought, oh, I've signed this contract, so if they back out or they don't do what they say, then I've got legal recourse. I haven't. I don't. And even if I sued them to this day, I probably would never get the money back out of them that is due to me. This contract did not protect me. It was too vague. This contract also, it just didn't give me much recourse for action. And though even they violated that obvious contract, and I still have a case against them, which I'm involved in with the state of Kentucky, even then this contract doesn't guarantee I'll get my money back if they launder it, steal it, burn it, whatever they do. It does not protect you as much as you think, contracts. You need an attorney in your corner that you can pay every now and again to read over contracts for you to make sure that your interests are protected. And a good CPA, a certified like financial type planner, who could help you along with your tax strategy and things like that. Point number 6, mistake. Keep your personal money and investment money separate. I highly recommend that you keep your personal money and your investment money separate from each other. And that is a mistake that I have made before, which has caused me to lose legal recourse, really, in a situation that I'm involved in with this A-frame house. So I use Relay Financial for all my business in and out expenses. I attach my QuickBooks account, which is my next point on bookkeeping. I use Relay Financial and connect my QuickBooks to it so that I can have a financial record to give to my CPA. But you need to have a business banking system in place that keeps your personal expenses separate from your business expenses. You need to keep those very separate because if the tax IRS comes after you for an audit, or when your CPA comes time to file taxes, they're really going to appreciate when those two aren't separate. It's almost impossible if you mix all that together and jumble it that your CPA or tax planner or anyone is going to be able to figure out what's going on with your money if you have not kept your personal and your business separate. My personal expenses are from a local community bank, but this Relay Financial online banking system is what I use for all business in and out transactions. And it keeps everything very seamless and separated from each other. In that point as well, I want to mention the idea of financial planning, period, and say that a book that really helped me was Profit First, Transform Your Business from a Cash-Eating Monster to Money-Making Machine by Mike Michalowicz. I think that's how you say that. His book on Profit First, you can find it here on Amazon. Looks like for $11.75 for a hardcover, which is a great deal. This will teach you how to set up your business banking mindset and system so that your business doesn't eat you alive, but you stay in control of your business and end up paying yourself every month from some of that cash flow anyways, so that you're actually creating something that can set you free instead of a business that's going to eat you up and spit you out. Number 7 mistake is on bookkeeping. Pay for a bookkeeper if you do not want to do this, and I hate doing it. I use QuickBooks and connect that to my Relay Financial account to keep a record of in and out business transactions. So I highly suggest you pay for a bookkeeper if you don't want to do this. Bookkeeping costs can range from month to month. I think that an average bookkeeper for one property can cost you anywhere from $50 to $150 a month in bookkeeping fees, depending on the size of the property and the amount of in and out expenses. But typically that's about where I've seen financial bookkeepers land on costing you per month. And I think that's really worth it for me because I hate bookkeeping. The pressure of learning how to bookkeep correctly is just too much. I'm a dreamer and a visionary as far as business mindset is concerned. I'm not a guy who wants to be punching numbers in books all day. And while I have done that and I can do that, I hate doing it. So that is why I pay somebody else to do it for me. Number 8, buying sight not seen. Again, do not rush into anything. Paying for years on a bad investment is worse than making no investment. Paying for years on a bad investment is worse than making no investment or losing money on an investment you have done. I bought land sight unseen, and I'm learning quite quickly that though that land does have inherent value and has appreciated in the 1.5 to 2 years I've owned it, it still is not easily turnable into something else because the access to it is just so poor, and I would have known that had I driven to the land myself rather than being in a rush to sign documents. So do not buy anything, in my opinion, sight unseen. I don't care if you're buying across the country. Fly there, get in the car, drive to it yourself, look at it, take someone you might even think knows investing better than you, and get on site before you buy anything. Please do not buy sight unseen. Even if the zoning is good for you, you need to know what it literally looks like and how it lays before you go and spend money. Mistake number 9, not being in agreement with your spouse. Now, this is a bit of a personal opinion here, but I think some seasoned investors would agree with me. If you are married, it is quite important that you seek to work together in this real estate investing venture. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of divorce, and real estate investing is not worth a divorce. Investing in real estate is just not worth it if doing it means a divorce for you and your wife. Pray together before you go into an investment. Take time to understand their fears of why they might be reluctant if you're the one who is really all about doing it. Take time, maybe even do a PowerPoint presentation on a deal you're looking at and explain it to them. As confused as they are about what you're doing, you were once that confused when you first dove into understanding real estate investing and looking into doing this. So you need grace for your spouse. You need grace for your significant other. And it is simply not worth a divorce. It is not worth the marital conflict. It is not worth the stress. If you got a house making you $500 to $2,000 a month in cash flow, but you both are miserable at the end of the day because you're not in agreement together. So that is, I'm wanting to protect your marriages. I think marriages are important. It's the foundation of our country. It's the foundation of the church. Marriage is an important thing. You gave your word before God the day that you got married that you would be with that person in sickness and in health, in riches and in being poor, and all those things. And I really suggest that you stick to your guns there and be patient with your spouse if they're a little bit more reluctant than you. And I would say with a bit of grace, time, and some presenting this in a way that's digestible for them, I think that they would come around to having some confidence in investing in real estate with you. But you want to be on the same page together. So don't rush into something at the cost of your spouse's peace and your peace. and it will be a much more enjoyable experience. And number 10, not picking a strategy and sticking with it. Once you settle on a type of investing you wish to do, like long-term rentals, medium-term rentals, short-term rentals, stick with it. Bouncing from idea to idea keeps you from doing any one idea very well. And that kind of ties this all back together to the beginning with starry eye syndrome, is this mindset of rushing into something or bouncing to the next cool thing that you see. I was all over the map when I got involved in real estate investing. I loved every different strategy. We could do that. I could do that. I could do that here. I could do that there. And I was just all over the place and not really landing on perfecting a particular strategy, which I eventually did by diving headlong into short-term rentals, which is where I've kind of landed with this channel and where I have landed with my own financial investments. So that's just something I want to encourage you today, is to pick a strategy and stick with it. And if you keep knocking at it, you will find success coming your way day by day. So thank you again for being here. These are 10 mistakes that new investors can make. I want to encourage you to avoid these 10 mistakes with the tips I've given you. Hit that subscription button down below. It really helps me grow this channel, and I hope that this is helping you. Again, we're trying to build a community here of people that love each other, love real estate investing, want to see each other grow financially. So thank you again for sticking with these videos. This is Bluegrass Rentals. I'm Zach Humphrey, going from full-time RN to full-time real estate investor, as long as that may take. Thank you again. God bless you guys. Have a good day.